I stressed myself out a lot during this process with everything, but I trusted the process and I just kept knitting. So I haven't knit with Petiteknit a lot before, so I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I am pretty sure that this is thinner than it should be, because one of the most fun things with knitting is planning all of my new projects, and then I kind of forget about my old ones, especially. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Olga and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, my current project, finished projects, planned projects. Sometimes I talk a bit about all of my yarn, just everything and anything that falls into my head while I sit here and chat with you all. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. But before we get into everything else I've been doing this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing. And I'm finally wearing my Olga, and this was definitely what took up the most of my time this week, because I have been so eager to finally finish this. I have been seeing on Instagram that the people who have finished their Olga, it has quickly become like a staple in their wardrobe, and I see people use their Olgas really frequently. So I had a lot of anticipation, and I thought this was going to quickly become a staple in my wardrobe as well, and be something that was really pleasant and that I really wanted to wear every day, and that has been so true. I think I finished this on Tuesday, and ever since I've lived in it, and that is almost all of the time the case when I finish a new sweater, but I can tell that this is going to stay really high up there. I have talked a bit about it, but this is a part of my tradition to knit myself a striped sweater every year. The first year I did the Marseille, and then the second year I did the direction loop sweater, and this year it's been the Olga. And I love that tradition. I love keeping myself to one striped item of clothing for myself a year, and for that tradition and for those sweaters, all of them have become and been and are favorites of mine. I love my strap sweaters. They are a big part of my regular sweater rotation. I go through all of my sweaters and all of my knitted pieces and wear them quite regularly, but some of them are repeated more often, and the striped sweaters are definitely some of those who are worn the most. And this is pretty new, so I can't 100% tell, but I can pretty much tell that this is going to be high up there with the sweaters I use the most, because I'm just so happy with basically every part of this sweater. Of course, the pattern is good. It was a fun pattern to follow. I had fun knitting it, so I have good memories from knitting it. I also knitted with my mother. That was really fun, and soon we're going to have matching sweaters. She's not 100% done yet. She has a little bit left on the sleeves, and I think she has the neckline left, but she's getting there, and then we can match, which is also going to be fun. So the pattern was great, the knitting experience was great, and I'm also so pleased with the colors I chose. I think they look so good together, and they are exactly that high contrast that I wanted for this sweater, that I think looks so good with the skinny stripes. And I am so happy that I went with white as the main color. I was a bit on the fence about it when I saw how the pickup was, because even though the pickup is quite pretty, I think it would just be a bit cleaner if it was in a dark color over here, but that is the only thing that has put me a bit on the fence when it comes to the white. I love that the sweater ends with white here, and especially in the neckline, but it does so everywhere. I love that. I think it is so nice for the sweater to kind of end with a light stripe, and especially around my face. I'm so glad that I chose to do it that way, but to also incorporate some red into the color, I think it makes the color a lot more seamless. You can't really see it as well that there is a color, whereas with the sweaters where you have the whole color and just one color. It's a lot more visible, but I'm so happy I did both colors and that I ended with white around my face and on all of the endings. I think that turned out to look so good, and just everything with this sweater, I'm so pleased with how they turned out. But it definitely was a big trust the process knit for me, because there were a lot of times throughout this where I was really afraid I'd made a mistake, or I was really on the fence about the pattern or how it fit me. But I'm so glad I stuck it out, even though I kind of, when I got to this point with the pickup here, I thought a bit about frogging it all and doing it with red as the base color, just because I have seen that this pickup line looks a lot better, in my opinion, where they're done in the right colors. Petiteknit does suggest to do the darkest color as the main color, and that pickup definitely looks a lot cleaner if you do it that way. So I really considered frogging and doing it again when I got to that point. And also the first time I tried it on, I was so afraid I'd gotten the wrong gauge, because I don't do gauge swatches, and the first time I tried it on, it was quite snug. I'd knit to about here, I think, and these edges just were rolling up, and it's quite hard to get a good grasp on how it properly fits when you've only knit to here. I still think it's a good idea to try on, but especially with drop shoulders, I think it's hard to get a good idea on how it will fit before it's actually blocked, because these just keep rolling up, especially before you get the sleeves on. I think the first time I tried it on, the drop shoulder only hit me to about here, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? This is not going to look good if the drop shoulder stops here. Have I chosen the wrong size? Is my gauge completely off? What am I doing? But I've done this as a part of a knit along group, so I talked a little bit to them, and all of them were like, it's rolling up, it will fix itself with blocking and when the sleeves are knit. So I trusted the process and just kept knitting, and it definitely worked itself out. It is a proper drop shoulder now, which I'm so pleased that it turned out to be, and I stressed myself out a lot during this process with everything, but I trusted the process and I just kept knitting. A large part of that was because I didn't want to frog and do it all again, but it all turned out exactly how I wanted it, and I am so pleased with this sweater, and it's just been great. But I think the biggest kind of stressor I had was when I got towards the end and I realized that I had to wash it, and usually I wash all of my knits in the washing machine. I just chuck them in there, use wool detergent, use the wool program on the washing machine, and I don't really think more about it. It's worked for me all of the time. But this is a red and white sweater, and I think red is the color that bleeds the most, and white is the color that takes the most color from the other one when that bleeds. So I was really afraid I was going to end up with a red and pink sweater. So at the last moment, when I had finished the sweater and started weaving in ends, I actually did a super tiny swatch. I don't have it here with me, but I think I did like 20 stitches and 4 stripes, just to get an idea if it would bleed or not. And then I put that in the washing machine and did exactly what I usually do with my knits, the wool program, the wool detergent, everything, just to see what would happen with this sweater on my, if I washed it like I usually do, because I could hand wash it and do that whole thing, but it was quite late and I wanted the sweater to be finished and me being able to wear it the next morning, and I didn't really want to learn how to hand wash in the middle of the night. So I tried that out, and luckily for me the swatch didn't bleed at all, so I was able to just chuck this in the washing machine, wash it in the washing machine, and then it was done, and it could just dry a little bit overnight, and in the morning I could put it on and wear it, and I've been wearing it ever since. I am so happy this didn't bleed. I was a bit afraid when I put it in the washing machine, just because this swatch is so small, and if it were to bleed, like 2 small stripes of red wouldn't really affect the water as much as all of these big stripes of red. So I still was a bit afraid, but I have never had a problem with bleeding before, and this is also superwash yarn, so it's been chemically treated, so that made me feel a bit safer. But I was definitely a bit stressed when I put it in the washing machine, and that period I had to wait before I could take this out and start blocking it and drying it was nerve-wracking, but it all turned out okay. And now I have my sweater done. I'll try to show. Here it is. It is quite, it's not super cropped, but it is shorter than the pattern says, and I think I knit the sleeves longer. I've been burned before by Petiteknit, and my sleeves often turn out a bit short, so that definitely was not going to happen this time. So I tried it on a few times and knit until the stripes would hit about my wrist, because the ribbing is really short, so I wanted the stripes to hit my wrist before I did the ribbing. But that means that when this washed and the shoulders relaxed a whole lot, and also this neck opening relaxed a lot, so it relaxed even more. The sleeves are a bit big, but they're not like annoyingly long or anything. They hit like about the middle of my palm, which I like anyways, because then I can snuggle up like this, and this is maybe my favorite way to wear a sweater, where I can hold on to the ribbing like this. It makes it feel a lot more cozy, and also since the sleeve isn't like super big in the opening here and not super long, it doesn't really annoy me when I try to knit or do other stuff with it, because the sleeve doesn't really get in my way. So it's just kind of the perfect length. So I'm really happy with how everything in this sweater turned out. And it's also red, which I love, and I think all of my selfish or self-care knitting plans going forwards this fall are red, at least most of them, and I think at least the next 2 projects are red, and they're full on red, which I'm so excited for. I think this is going to be a very red fall and winter for me, because I am just in love with this color. But that being said, that is all for my Olga, and I also have a whole video all about the Olga if you want to see the whole process of me knitting this up. But that's everything for the Olga, and we can move into my whips. My biggest whip is of course still the wedding dress. It is my oldest, it is my biggest, but unfortunately it's also my most neglected whip, at least these last few weeks. It really ebbs and flows for me with the wedding dress. I don't really knit on it at all, and then I have a couple of weeks where I make great progress, and then I don't really work on it. So I had really good progress on this a couple of weeks ago, and now I haven't worked on it for I think 3 weeks. Haven't worked on it any this week either, but we are finally home. We're starting to kind of land after a summer where we've been going around, and the wedding dress is just too big to take with me places now. It is too big to work on without having a plan. I love having projects where I can just pick it up and do a couple of stitches, because a lot of my knitting time is made up from like different kind of 5 minutes throughout the day, so I don't really have the time to sit down and get everything sorted. The dress is also white, I don't want it stained, so I have to make a better plan around the wedding dress, because I want to start working on it again, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be my week. I'm quite happy with where I am on my other projects. I have finished a lot. I'm starting to get out of the creative slump I've been in. I have a lot of things I'm excited for, and my creativity is definitely starting to trickle back in, so I think this is a good place for me to pick the wedding dress back up. But I just need to figure out kind of where I'm going to keep it, because right now I'm keeping it in this project bag, which is great. It keeps the project safe and it's easy to move around, but it means that I have to spend like 5 minutes just getting the project out. So I need to find a kind of better way to store it when it's in my house, so I can actually work on it. And I just don't know where that is right now, or when I'm going to prioritize this project. I think this is going to have to turn into an at night project, just because it is a bit big and a lot of hassle right now to work on it in the day. I don't know, but towards winter I'll have to work on it in the day when it's light, so I don't quite know where I'm going right now with the wedding dress. It is getting big. I'm having to do more thinking again than I've been doing the last while, because now I'm not nearing the end. I still have a lot to do, but while I'm working on it, I'm trying to figure out the sleeves and the beads, and there's just a lot more thinking involved again, so it's not that easy to knit on while I'm also playing with my son. So I have to figure out a better plan on how to work on the wedding dress, but I haven't gotten there yet, and I really haven't had the creativity or the time to work on the wedding dress, but this week it's going to happen. I just don't know what that's going to look like, but that's it for the wedding dress. At least this week I should be able to make that swatch I've been talking about for so long, so that should happen. But I really want to get into the wedding dress as well. I think ideally I would want to sew in the first couple of beads on like the main wedding dress as well, so I just need to figure out a good workstation for the wedding dress and for that to stay. So I'm going to be doing a bit of thinking on that, but that's where I am with the wedding dress. And then my other project, I only have one other project. I think I'm going to do a lot more casting on pretty soon, because as I said, I am feeling my creativity starting to trickle back in, and with that my cast on energy. So right now I only have one other project. I think that's going to change quite soon, but my one other project is the zipper sweater, and I've gotten quite far. I started on this the day before yesterday. This is the zipper sweater for my son. I think I'm doing size 5 to 6 years old, just because he has a lot of sweaters in his current size, so I'm trying to plan ahead. I'm knitting this in Petiteknit, I'm pretty sure, but it's from the Sandnes Garn outlet, so it's not 100% how it should be, and it also doesn't have the bandroll with the Petiteknit. And I've been noticing as I've been knitting that this Petiteknit is really thin, which is worrying me a bit, because the zipper sweater is supposed to be quite warm and a quite dense fabric. Of course, the zipper sweater is more of that, and the zipper sweater light is less of that, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to have a more dense fabric than what I'm getting right now. Mine is pretty see-through. I hope it's going to get better with washing. Hopefully the yarn will bloom a little bit and kind of fill in the gaps a bit. I'm also knitting quite uneven with this, because it is a quite stiff yarn, but it's also really thin, so my knitting is quite uneven right now, especially in the ribbing and where I did the raglan. So I also hope that sorts itself out. I still think this is going to be a good sweater. I think it's going to be it's not going to be super warm, but it's going to be a good like middle layer, and the zipper part is still going to be warm, so it's going to be warm here, but then it's not going to be too warm in the body, so you can layer it, have it under a warmer jacket or something. So I still think this is going to be a good piece in the wardrobe, and I did want a zipper sweater that wasn't as warm as the like original zipper sweater. That's why I went with the zipper sweater light, but I am a bit stressed about the yarn being way thinner, I think. So I haven't knit with Petiteknit a lot before, so I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I am pretty sure that this is thinner than it should be, because it just feels and looks really thin to me, and this is supposed to be a bit thicker than regular DK yarn, and it feels thinner than regular DK yarn, so I don't know about that, but I still think this is going to be a great sweater. I really have to get to the zipper soon, because I've done the zipper sweater a lot of times, but this is only my second time doing it for my son, and only the second time doing one of the light versions. But I've learned from doing the zipper sweater that for me, I need to do the zipper quite early on. If not, I kind of start to hate the project, because I don't like weaving in ends. I don't like doing buttons, but if there's one thing I truly do not like, it's sewing in zippers. I am so afraid of it, because I think it's not going to turn out good every single time. I'm so worried about it turning out uneven, or just not looking good, or something getting snagged on the zipper. It's such a stressful part of the zipper sweater to me, so I've learned that for the zipper sweater to be the most enjoyable project it can be, because the zipper sweaters truly are some of my favorite patterns to knit, but for them to be as enjoyable for me as they can be, I need to do the zipper really early on. I like to do it about when I separate for the body, and as you can see, I've done that quite a while ago. It just progresses really quickly with this one, and I wasn't at home when I separated for the sleeves, so. But I really think that should be the next thing I do. I'm probably going to finish this skein, but after that I really should get to doing the zipper, because I have learned that that really should not be the last thing I'm left to do, and doing it now just means it will look more completed, it will look better. I already know that the worst is over, so everything else will be nice. Another great thing about this is that it's not superwash yarn, so I won't have that many ends to weave in. As of right now, I only have the one end to weave in. I think I'll end up with 5 ends to weave in maybe on this whole project, which is great. That's not going to take me super long, and I'll already know that the zipper, the worst part, will be done, so weaving in ends on the zipper sweater is never the worst part. But yeah, that is the like one really active whip I have right now, and I am really excited about it. We'll see what size it actually turns out to be, because I think that the yarn being a bit thin also might make the gauge a bit smaller, but I don't know. I know it's still going to fit, as I made it in a really big size, so we'll still be able to use it. We'll just see for how long. But that is the zipper sweater, and as you might tell from the project, I've been working on like the Olga, and I am working on the projects I'm excited for. I'm way into fall. I've just decided that summer for me is over, and now it's all about fall and fall knits and planning for fall, and that is my favorite time of year when it comes to knitting anyway, so I'm just going to embrace that. But that's really all for my whips. I didn't have a lot of whips this week because I've been finishing them and then not really having had the time yet to cast on everything I want to, but that's definitely coming quite soon. I am super excited about so many projects, but we can talk about the one project other than this that I managed to finish this week as well, and that is the Augustines, mini Augustines number 1. And unfortunately I've been a bit bad with this. I am really trying to weave in ends as I finish projects now, so I don't end up adding to my basket of shame with projects that haven't been weaved in ends on. But but I haven't done that on this one, and I don't really have a good excuse. I have weaved in one end on it in the middle, and then I really wanted to focus on the Olga, and then I weaved in ends on the Olga, and then I kind of have misplaced my needle. I'm going to go look for it for the weaving in end segment. Hopefully I'll find it. But that means that I haven't woven in the ends on this one, and I haven't blocked it either, which is a bit of a shame because I really want to show this fully blocked, but here you can at least see it finished. I'll show you all of the different structures. Some of them you probably saw last time. But here you can see, I think I was about here on the last podcast, starting on this twisted ribbing here, and then this is the last part you do in the round, and then all of this is the border, which went by quite quickly this time. I did a lot of it in the car ride home because we went home I think Saturday last week, so I did most of the border on the way home, and then I finished it the day after we got home, I think. And the border always takes me quite long, but I timed myself, and it was really hard to time myself doing the border without any interruptions. But the first time I timed myself, one of these, you have, this is like one repeat. The first time I timed myself, that took me 12 minutes, and then the next time I timed myself, it took me 6 minutes. So depending on how interrupted I am, each one of them takes me about in between like 15 and 5 minutes. So it does not take a lot of time if you just have the time to sit down and do it. And after you do like the first or second of the repeats, you kind of get into it, so you don't have to look at the pattern anymore. And there are 48 of them, so I'm really happy I don't have to look at the pattern every single time. But there being a number you're working towards is also really fun, because I just, okay, now I've done one, that's 1 out of 45, now I've done 12, and that's 1/4, and I just have a lot of fun kind of dividing it into sections and working on it like that. That is a really fun part of this blanket, and since starting to think about it like that, the border has just become more and more fun. But I think I'm definitely going to show this next week as well, because I really want to show it blocked, because this blanket unblocked and blocked is such a big difference, and this is the prettiest mini Augustines #1 I've ever made, so I really want to show it fully blocked and it not looking a lot more like a blanket. As of now, my son keeps calling this his star. I think it's because of all of the like pointed things on the edge, but I am really excited to get this blocked. I just need to find my needle and weave in the ends. I think I have a couple ends to do, because as I was knitting on this in the car, I didn't want to do split splicing, and I didn't have a scissor to kind of make the split splicing correct, so I have a couple more ends to weave in than I was hoping. But I think I have 6 or 7 ends, so it's not that bad, and I think it would go by quite quickly. I just need to find my needle, and I think I knit this in Knit Me merino. I think it's a mix of merino and alpaca. I think it's 80% merino, 20% alpaca, and it's so soft, it's so squishy. I love the color. This color and yarn were great for stitch definition. The other times I've been making this blanket, I've been doing it in 100% alpaca, and that's been soft and lovely, but it's been a bit too fluffy to get this good of a stitch definition. So it's been really exciting to work on this blanket this time and to see the stitch definition this great. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this project and about blocking it. But that's kind of everything I've been doing this week, and now I'm going to go try to see if I can find my needle so we can weave in a couple of ends. I've searched absolutely everywhere I can think of for my needle, and I did not find it. It's truly gone. I think I know a little someone who's probably played a bit of a part in that, but I only have that one needle, and I've been wanting more anyways, so I've actually gone out and bought myself some needles so I could still do this, because I really like this segment and I really like getting somewhere on my project and actually weaving in the ends, and having this segment has made me a lot better at doing the ends on my project as I go as well, even though this is a project from this week, but I have gotten a lot better since incorporating this segment, so I want to continue with that. And I even got a needle that is not that sharp in the end, because I do have a bit of a problem when doing what's it called, Italian bind off, that my needle is a bit too sharp and it kind of splits the thread when I don't want it to. So I've been wanting a needle like this for a really long time, so it kind of was a blessing in disguise that my needle was gone, because now I've finally got myself a needle I really want, and I actually got two. I got one a bit bigger and then one a bit smaller for projects with smaller gauge. But of course, now that I have my needle here, I have forgotten my scissors. It's been a while since I did the podcast earlier today, and I've been busy looking for my needle, but I'm back and I am finally doing this now. Right now I am weaving in the ends on the Augustines, and I guess I won't get to snip off the ends now, but I'll at least have woven them all in, which is the whole battle, and then I'll just do the nice part afterwards, which is snipping them off. This is the worst part now, sewing this edge together. That is the worst part. I am never quite pleased with how I do, but we'll see. Hopefully it will be better this time, and not too tight and not ugly, but we'll see. I thought I could talk a bit about my plans for fall. I do have a lot of plans that I would want to start on now. I have a lot of plans I would love to work on in the fall and wear in the fall, and right now I have just a lot I want to do right this minute, especially 2 things for myself that I would love to do immediately, and both of them are red, and I am just obsessed with red and I want them in my closet right now. The first one is the levitate wrap, which has been on my to knit list for so long, and I finally found yarn that I wanted for it, and then my friend bought me that yarn because the yarn was at her local yarn store, and then earlier this summer I actually finally got the yarn, and the yarn is right here. It's so pretty. This is so bright and I'm so excited for it. This is a lot darker and I'm really excited for how they're going to look together. I haven't tried them together yet, so I hope they'll go together well. I think they will, and this will be the levitate wrap. Super excited about this. I have been trying to hold myself back from casting on because I've had other projects to work on, but now I don't really have anything else that I have to do before casting it on, so I think I might get to cast that on this week, which is super exciting, and I can't wait to get more red in my closet. Ever since I knit that my Christmas dress, the Augustines number 16 that I made into a dress, I have been absolutely in love with everything red and I just can't get enough. So I'm finally starting to get more red sweaters as well. I think this is my first red sweater, and this is not fully red, and this will be my first red cardigan. And then I have another project that I'm also really excited for and that I hope I'll get to do in August or September, and that is the Elizabeth blouse. That I think the Elizabeth blouse is so pretty. And now I got a little visitor. I think the Elizabeth blouse is such a pretty blouse, and I have red yarn for it that I think will be so amazing. It's the red yarn, you maybe can see a little bit back here. That is for the Elizabeth blouse, and I can't wait. I think both the fit of the Elizabeth blouse and the red color I'm going to do it in is going to be amazing for like September and October, and it's just going to be a great sweater overall. But that's definitely the time where I want to work on it. And let's see, now I have got the edges here together, and we'll see if I like how it looks. It looks okay, I guess. It's never quite as seamless as everything else, but I don't think it's the worst I've done. And I don't know how to do it better, so I guess this is what I will have to live with. That's that, and we are getting somewhere with this. But those are the two main projects that I'm looking forward to myself. And then of course the zipper sweater I have for myself, but that is in green, and I love green as well, but I just want red to have its moment before I move on to other colors, because green and blue and beiges and browns I love and have loved for long. So I have a lot more clothes in those colors and variations of those, so I just want red to have its own little moment in the spotlight before I go back to more of my like usual colors, which, you know, I still love them, but I just want to focus on red, especially in the fall. I love to kind of knit more seasonally, and when the leaves turn green, I want to be knitting with green like I did with the pole cardigan, and when the leaves are turning red, I want to be knitting with red. I really love to knit in the same colors as the leaves, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I think I'm probably going to, I don't think I can hold off on the levitate wrap, but I'm going to hold off on the Elizabeth blouse until the leaves actually start turning red. We have a couple leaves on one of our trees turning a bit orange already, so I don't think it will be that long until we get proper red and orange leaves, which I am excited for. Summer is nice, and I'm always really excited at the start of summer, but I am realizing the older I get that I am really not a summer person. I've thought my whole life that I am a summer person, and that's my favorite time of year, probably because my birthday is in the middle of summer, and that's when you have time off work and school. But the older I get, the more I realize that I quite like the fall and the spring. I am still not a big fan of winter, I think probably just because winter is so long here, but I am a big fan of fall. Fall is my favorite time of year, I'm pretty sure, and every year I just like it more and more. It's the perfect temperatures outside, and just the mood you get in when it's fall. I really like that. Everything slows down a bit. I just really appreciate fall, and I'm really looking forward to it and all of the projects that come with fall. Of course, you can knit anything throughout the year, and you can knit on whatever you want whenever you want, but there is something special about knitting on like more winter and fall like items in the fall that I really like. And of course, working more on my son's wardrobe, I'm looking forward to that. I still have a lot of pieces that I'm really looking forward to make, which is going to be fun to make him all of the nice pieces. I also have some pieces that are more musts than pieces I super love to knit. For example, the Williams overalls, I'm going to knit him soon, are not my favorite to knit. I don't love knitting pants legs first, like from the bottom up. I don't love doing that, but the pants are really good and we use them a lot, and I know I'm going to love them when they're done, and I have an okay time knitting them. But it's not my favorite project, but I'm just excited for getting back in that like regular fall mood, and with my regular knitting projects. I have liked taking a break and doing more summery projects, but my heart definitely lies with that fall project, and the more I think about it and the more I talk about it, the more excited I get. This is done now, I just have not snipped off the ends, but now this is ready to be blocked, which I'm also excited about. And speaking about winter accessories, I think we can start weaving in the ends on some of them. Some of these ends are even weaved in, I just haven't snipped them. I guess that's the story of my life. I oftentimes forget where my sister is or forget to bring it with me. But I think I'll try to weave in the ends on this one as well while we're here. Yeah, I'm just really excited for what's coming in the next few months and everything, and it's really nice to feel really excited, and I did feel this excited when summer was coming as well. I guess I just like the change of seasons and change of mindset. I think that is really fun to focus on different things throughout different times of the year, and now I am really ready for fall. I do want to have a bit of a better look through my yarn stash, because I have a lot of yarn with a plan, and I'm not going to force myself to knit everything in a specific order. I would like to kind of sit down with it and kind of try to figure out what order I would like to knit it in, just to have a bit of a better idea, because now I look at it and I know I have so many plans throughout all of this, but I just don't know where to start. And I feel like there are some things I should do pretty soon, but I think it would be good to sit down and just get everything noted down on a list. I really love doing lists, so I'm probably going to write everything down, so at least I can see what my top 10 projects I would like to do next are, and then I can still pick from those, but that it's a bit narrowed down, because now I just look at my whole stash and get a bit overwhelmed. But I think it would be good to get a bit of an idea of all of my plans and when I would like to get them done. And of course I need to be a bit better at not being too excited about just planning, because sometimes I think for me one of the most fun things with knitting is planning all of my new projects, and then I kind of forget about my old ones. Especially that's true for the wedding dress, because the longer that's been on my needles, it's still really exciting, but the planning part of that is, I'm kind of done with the planning part of it. Now I'm just executing it and trying to figure out how to execute it the best possible way. So sometimes I get a bit wrapped up in just planning all of my new projects instead of thinking and actually knitting on my already existing ones. So I'm also going to try to work a bit on that, so I'll actually get somewhere on my wedding dress. And I still have not knit on my wedding dress today. I have been busy looking for my needle and doing other things, but when tonight hits, I am really tempted to work on the zipper sweater and sew the zipper in, but I am going to knit on the wedding dress first, and if I get to a place where I'm happy with the progress I made on the wedding dress, then I can sew in the zipper on the zipper sweater. And I think kind of that's how I have to work on the wedding dress, to just make myself work on it certain times, and then when I'm happy with the progress I can move on. And I got to weave in ends on this as well, so both of these. And I'm a bit sorry to say, but you still really can't see a dent in this at all. I thought this would go by a bit quicker now that I weave in the ends on at least one project every week, and I try to not add anything new in here, and I haven't added anything new in here since I started this, but it's still like overflowing, so I don't know how long this is going to take, but we are making progress, so that's at least something. And then maybe someday I'll get this basket back, because I would love to actually store yarn in it, and my yarn stash kind of doesn't need this to store yarn in because my yarn stash is still overflowing. But that was all for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. It means the absolute world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!